I've been slapped in the face. I was slapped in the face. When I say it was like a little slap, like somebody slapped me, and it was like the illness just came out of nowhere. It was like, peekaboo, I'm here, and you're gonna have to deal with me. And I was just going to so many specialists. So I went through denial. Then after I started bracing, it's like, why me? What happened? You know, I'm not a bad person. And then also, another thing you encounter is people. And so people who didn't understand, or people that I shared, happened to find out about my illness. It was like, oh, what did you do? What have you done? Like, what do you mean what I did? I don't do anything to people. Hey, welcome to Talking with LaToya. Come on in, sit down, and let's talk. Okay, I got a question for you. Always have a question. Have you or someone you know ever been or had a serious illness? Okay. Do you know someone? Or have you been personally affected by an illness? So today we're going to talk about thriving through your illness season. We're going to call it's a season. Thriving through your season, a season of illness. We have seasons in our lives. So, of course, illnesses, yeah, when you get an illness or you get affected by one, it's a season. That means it's not going to last forever. It's not going to last forever. Like we have spring, fall, winter, summer. Yeah, we have them. So in our lives, we have seasons. So an illness doesn't mean it's going to last forever. Because you're in that point or this season right now, we're going to thrive through it. Because you still have life and you're going to get through it. You're going to come through it and you're going to break through. I think about it like this because I was personally affected by an illness. I was diagnosed with liver disease in January 2024. I often say I was diagnosed in September 23, but in September 2023, I actually woke up one morning and I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. And I went to the hospital and I was told that I needed to get my affairs in order because they wasn't sure what was wrong with me. And it was like, oh, okay. So what you mean? But so I've been slapped in the face. I was slapped in the face. When I say it was like a little slap, like somebody slapped me, and it was like the illness just came out of nowhere. It was like, peekaboo, I'm here, and you're going to have to deal with me. But what I learned through the process is that even though it snuck up on me like a thief, it really did because I wasn't ready for it. I don't think nobody's ever ready for an illness or expecting one. And I thought I was healthy, doing all the right things. I was going to the doctor and, so it was like, what is going on? So we're going to talk about it. We're going to dive deep and I'm going to share my story. Okay, so in order to thrive, what I learned from it is at first you're going to go through different emotions. When I first got diagnosed, I couldn't believe it. I was in denial. Like, what is these people talking about? And so at first it was the not knowing. So September of 2023, I've had, I don't know how many specialists, professionals. I think I've been to just about every Emory hospital in Atlanta, in the metro Atlanta area. I'm talking about seriously. I had so many doctors, different doctors, and it wasn't until January of 2024 that I was diagnosed with liver disease because every organ in my body was failing. I had a severe infection throughout my body. I had lesions, tumors, you name it, I had it. And so I dealt with the first not knowing, like, what is going on? Okay, can y'all tell me what's going on? Then I dealt with the angry. Yeah, I was angry. I was like, wait a minute, I was going to the doctor. What you mean, what's wrong with me? I'm like, I go for my checkups. I eat healthy. That's what I thought. So it was a shocker. So I went through the denial because at first I'm like, it can't be me because I never smoked or drank. So how are you telling me liver disease? I can't have liver disease. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Never did. Because dependency runs in my family. So that was one of the things I prided myself on. Like, how's that possible? These people don't know what they're talking about. And so then I had to embrace the fact that, okay, you actually have an illness. You have liver disease. These people are for real. They're not playing. My numbers was 476, which is very, very extreme. 400 is really when you probably can't get a transplant. I had other stuff as well. And I was just going to so many specialists. So I went through denial. Then after I started bracing, it's like, why me? What happened? I'm not a bad person. And then also another thing you counter is people. And so people who didn't understand, or people that I shared, happened to find out about my illness, was like, oh, what did you do? What have you done? Like, what do you mean what I did? I don't do anything to people. I try to help people. So you go through that, like, why me? What did I do? Why is it me? Why I'm affected by this? And then you're like, okay, wait a minute. Okay, what I'm gonna do? I have this illness. And then you go through the doctors, going to the doctors, going through the visits. So I'm gonna tell you, a serious illness affects you mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, spiritually, and financially. When I say financial, it affects you. It affects all those areas, because mentally, your mental, especially if you're a person who's used to doing things, taking care of people, you make it happen. Because I pride myself. I was like, I'm a realtor that makes it happen, baby. I make it happen. You take care of whatever's supposed to happen. And I'm like, okay, I'm proactive. I take care of things. I get things done. And to have to depend on other people when I couldn't even walk, I couldn't get out of bed. And it was like, whoa, I cannot do things physically that I was able to do. And so that's when I say it affects you physically. When you can't walk down the stairs. It was days I couldn't walk to my bathroom. Couldn't get up, go to the bathroom. I needed help. Needed my daughter to help me emotionally. Emotions all over the place, because first you tripping like, okay, what is going on? You done made plans, you have goals, you have things that you want to achieve in your life. I had set out my goals, plans for 2023, 24, and it was like, nope, none of that. Not happening. Okay, what are you talking about? Your goal is right now to live, fight for your life. It's like whatever else you had, oh, that's off the table. That's out the door. Okay, so, and spiritually, because it was like, okay, God, what is going on? Lord, I don't do anything to people. God, you said, you predestined me from the womb. Like, God, you predestined me for this? And I'm like, Lord, how does this happen? Tell me what's going on. What is the purpose for this? Okay, what is for me to learn? And then when you're like, okay, I don't hear nothing, I'm hearing nothing. And you're like, okay, am I really listening, or is it me? So that's when sometimes you may start questioning your faith. You're standing, you're like, okay, God, I'm standing on you. I'm standing on the word. Then you go to the doctor and you're like, what? What you mean my heart? You're like, what is it now? I'm like, I'm getting off of pills. Okay, we got less medication, less doctors. And then you go in, you gain 2 more professionals, 2 more specialists. And then also 2, oh my God, when it take a toll on you, because I would sit there and it was almost as if some of my specialists, quote unquote, would not see me as a person, but only as a patient, but as almost a project, because it was kind of like, oh, wow, how did she get liver disease like this? Wonder why, what happened? And so I'm like, wait a minute, not, I'm a human. Okay, I'm a person. I'm sitting here. Okay, I'm not just a study. And so you go through those things, and then I'm gonna talk about financially. Oh my gosh. When you're talking about the copays, I remember the phone conversations with my insurance companies when they didn't want to pay for certain things or certain procedures that I needed, or you're telling me to have another procedure performed, and that I need something else more invasive done. So if I have this procedure done, it's the only thing it's gonna do is make me weaker. So you have, those conversations, and then you feel like, they saw your intelligence, and then you have to think about the pain. When you're in pain, sometimes you can't think straight, or you're irritable. You're like, I don't have time for this. And so you're struggling your social life is struggling, because you're not going out with your friends. When your friends or family call you, you're not in the same space. Stuff they're talking about, you're like, look here, I'm not trying to be rude. It don't even matter. I'm in so much pain right now. Can I talk to you later? And so you begin to isolate yourself. And another thing that I noticed when I socially, I didn't want nobody to know. Got to the point when I'm like, how would this affect me professionally? If I share this, I was starting a business with one of my friends. We were going in, starting a new business, and we had ventures. And I was like, nobody's going to invest in this business with one of the partners sick with an illness, don't know if she's going to make it. So you think about that. And then I also thought about my daughter. I'm like, if I leave here, who's going to raise her like I raise her? And so I know I'm not the only one. I'm pretty sure other people are going through this. Or if you're not going through this, if you have a family member that may be going through illness, or you guys are going through something, because and also it affects the whole family, entire family. It does. Especially if you have children. It affects your kids. If you have children, it affects your children. We don't think about it sometimes as parents, but it does. It plays a big part in their development. Sometimes they may worry, and we're trying to make it through and be strong for them, and your kids feel it. Okay, so enough of that. We're going to talk about how we thrive, Those are some of the things, the ways that you may feel. And what I learned is those things are normal. I'm not the only one. At first, I thought I was the only one going through it. I'm like, okay, I'm depressed. And my doctor kept saying, you need a support group. Are you depressed? I'm like, dude, I'm not depressed. I'm just processing this. Because you have days when you're like, what is really happening? And at first I thought, okay, I must be the only one. Okay. I can't be tripping like this. And then also I thought, okay, I'm telling these doctors what is happening to me, and they're like, oh, impossible, can't. And what I realized was like, oh, it's not happening to them, so they don't understand it because they're not experiencing it. So it's like, oh, okay. So we're going to talk about some of the things to help you thrive. And I'm going to say one of the things is, most important thing is to realize that you did nothing. And when I say this, and I've heard people, especially having liver disease, member of a support group, we're going to talk about that there are some people who is in the support group that, yes, they did develop liver disease from alcohol or whatever. And regardless of the fact, you do not have to suffer with this disease, because I believe, and the word says, by his stripes we are healed. We all have done things. We all have made mistakes. And I've also heard people say, oh, well, if you have diabetes and you have whatever, because there are so many different diseases out there. And sometimes you just don't know. You don't know. Or sometimes maybe a coping mechanism. Maybe it's not the best coping mechanism. Maybe it's not positive. But okay, we're here now. But you deserve to be healed. And you too deserve to strive and thrive during your season of illness. Don't have to be permanent. It could be a season, because there are things we can do to correct this, and there's steps that we can take to live a better life and be the best version of ourselves possible. Okay, so some of the things that I did. First, I realized I have the right to be healed. And it's like, no, I have the right to be healed. So with this, I read so many different articles, so many different medical journals. And yeah, of course, you're going to have days when you feel bad. So I didn't say I read every day, but I read whenever I had an opportunity to, or when I felt like, okay, I can get up and read. Okay, let me read on this disease, find out what it is, what I can do, how my medical team and I can come together. And when I say team, my doctors and my physicians, and I included myself as a team member, not just a study or just, a case study that you want to find out how this particular disease came about or what's going on in my body. But I approach it as a team. And I told my daughters, it's like, okay, we're in this together. It's a team. It's just a procedure. It's just some steps that we have to take. And once I adopted that mindset, I started feeling a little better. Did I start seeing improvement in me and in my body? No. But I started feeling a little more better, a little better in my mind. My mindset changed a little bit. And so secondly, I contacted support groups. Anybody associated with liver disease, I contacted them, support groups. I joined in, I listened. It helped me tremendously, because some of the symptoms, some of the things that I was experiencing, there was other people experiencing the same thing too. It also helped me to understand my disease and just listen and just share. And so we supported each other, and I didn't feel like I was alone, or I didn't feel like, okay, what is going on? And I gained some valuable information. They even helped me and steer me towards different specialists, that was very, very great specialists in the area of the disease that I have. And I was able to reach out to them. I also reached out to national organizations and world organizations. I reached out to pharmaceutical companies to ask, okay, what is this? What do you have? What does medication do? I called, I text, I emailed, and you have that right. Nobody can tell you what you can't do. You have that right because you're in this season to pass through the breakthrough. You're in this season to get through whatever this is that's holding you back. And this illness, when I say this, illness, this, your body's not operating perfectly or how it was designed. So therefore, it's up to you to find ways to get your body back to close as 100% as possible. And so I was like, oh, that's my responsibility. Because if it was anything else, like when we on our jobs, if there's a problem or there's a problem in our department or there's a problem in our agency, we're going to get a leadership role. We're going to take the lead and get that agency operating back to 100%, as close to 100% as possible. So we're going to put it, if it's derailed, we're going to put it back on the rails. We're going to get it back, go in the direction that it's supposed to be. So why can't we do the same for our health? And some other tips that I did, I rely heavily on my faith. Oh my gosh. The word of God, I rely heavily on my faith. I don't know what your faith is, but I believe in God. I relied heavily on my faith. And I found the scriptures about healing. And I listened and I recited them and I believed. I got to the point when I believed them. I kept reciting them because at first it was like, okay, the symptoms was taking over. And it was like, okay, wait a minute. This pain, this ain't it. You're going to have bad days. I'm going to tell you, you're going to have days when you're like, what is this, God? Go ahead. Come on, let's go. Let's do this. Just go ahead and do this. Go ahead and take me out. And you have those days. I had those days. I had those days and I was tired of being poked, stick. I was like, I'm not going no more doctors. And I'm gonna say it's okay. Sometimes you may have to take like maybe a day. I'm not gonna tell you to skip your appointments. I'm not gonna advise you to say that. I don't want nobody to, because it may be detrimental to your health. But there was times when I had to say enough. And voice your opinion. If something hurts, tell them it hurts. Man, I remember I had to go and I had to get so many tubes of blood. And I realized, I was like, okay, 3 days in a row, I'm going to the lab. You taking 8 tubes, you taking 8 tubes, you taking 8 tubes. Man, come on. So I was like, wait a minute, that's a lot. Come on. I was like, I'm not going to recover because I got so much blood coming out of me. And then it was hurting. Got to the point when I could feel, I'm like, you're drawing this from me. I'm about to pass out. And so finally I verbalized and I was like, wait a minute. Why y'all can't you're running this test. It's 8 tubes. Okay. Can't y'all just come together and utilize some of that blood? I'm like, you're right back to back. Can't we do this? And another thing that I did as well to help me financially is I called myself, we scheduled a lot of my appointments the same day. So if I had a specialist that was downtown Decatur, well, actually I had 2. So I would see those same specialists on the same day because I was like, okay, if I come to you Thursday, I'm coming to him Friday. Okay, that's another $16. And I ain't trying to be funny, but I was like, okay, that's double parking. And if I valet, that's more money. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm downtown, I'm like, wait a minute. Off of Peachtree, I got 3 doctors here. So why I'm spending, so it helped. Like I say, every little bit helped. And so that helps too. And it helps you as far as getting out of the house. It helped with my energy as well because I didn't have to get up every day to look forward to, okay, I got to go to this doctor today. I got to go to this doctor tomorrow. I got to go to this doctor next day. It helped you with your mindset. It's like, okay, today is doctor day. I go to ABC, this building. Okay, get there. Let's do this and whatever it is. And ask questions. I'm going to tell you, ask questions. If you don't understand something, ask. It's okay. Ask questions. If you can write them down, write them down. Write down your symptoms. If something that you don't agree with or a medication that you tried and you didn't have the best, experience, man, write that down if you can. If you can't remember, I know it's a lot, but just be like, hey, ABC, what you prescribe, it's a lot. And one of the last things that really helped me was when I journaled. Oh my goodness. I started journaling and started writing. I was like, okay, today I felt like this, or today I won. This was a win today. Today I was able to go outside and walk to the mailbox because I couldn't even one point I couldn't get down the stairs. And then I remember I wrote, oh, today I went down 4 stairs, even though I stopped painting, had to help me. I say it jokingly, but it happened. And you take the small wins because you're looking to make it through. You take the small wins. I think about it like this. When you go through a drive-through, you pull up. If they're in line, you got to wait. So you're waiting in line through the drive-through to get to the menu with the speaker so you can order. So you got to get in the drive-through. Okay, there might be a lane, drive-through lane, maybe about 10 or 12 cars. So you're going to wait till it's your turn. You're going to tell them what you want. Okay, you still got to wait till you get to the window. Then you're going to pay. You might have to pay the person. That person may not still have you. So then you pay them, get your receipt. Then you go to another window. And then you get your food and you drive out. That's how life is. You think about it. Think about it that way. Think about it. That's how I thought about it. Like, okay, just like a drive-through window. I got to go through this, go through this, go through this. And at the end, my reward is there. So just think about it that way. You take the small wins until you get what you want, until you're looking for, until your healing comes. So I'm going to tell you as well, share your disease or whatever you're going through with your family, with your close family and friends that understands and cares. Yes, that understands and cares. And when I say understand and care, people who actually care for you and is willing to listen or maybe get in and support you. And when I say support you, not only support you as helping you through the house, but support you by saying, okay, we're going to get in this together. I'm going to look up research as well. I'm going to look up recipes. We're going to see how we can do this. We're going to see how we can change things. We're going to see how we can combat this. And it helps with making your family understand what you're going through, because sometimes your family members are just wondering what is going on. And it's the fear that sets in, like, is this person going to make it? I don't understand what's going on with her. I don't know what's going to happen. And so when you share it, you guys are embarking that journey, that healing journey together. You're embarking and you thriving through your season of healing, and it helps them get involved. I remember when some of my close family members, and like I say, close people, close and care, important. Friends and family who are close and care. Okay, let me say it again. Close and care. But because sometimes close can call you and say some things like, oh, this person, you're going to die. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to die. The devil's a lie. Well, they say that, nah, block that out. Block them out. People, I had to be like, no, we're not talking about this. No, I'm not talking about this with you. I'll talk about other stuff, but I don't need you calling me with this because you're negative. And like, no, you got somebody close to care and that's with you, in agreement with you, agreement for your healing. So you guys can combat this together, because it helps so much. I don't know how many of my family members or my friends who call me with recipes are like, okay, I heard it's for liver disease. Can we do this? Oh, I know a farmer, organic farmer. Because another thing too, I changed my diet totally, went on pretty much clean eating. And I had so many people who I would have never known that actually cared if I didn't share it with my family or my close friends what was going on. And they was able to reach out and say, I know this farmer in Jeffersonville, organic farmer. I know this health holistic doctor, or I know this young lady that do yoga. I know this young lady do stretching. So share it with your family. And what it does, so it takes the burden off and the relief, because everybody understands. Not knowing is another beast in itself. When you're not sure, not knowing it, so when your family is not sure what's going on, sometimes fear can set in, especially when you have children. I remember one time that I had a procedure that was scheduled. And as I said, we may not know. If you don't know, share with your family. Look, I don't know what's going to happen or how long or what's going to happen next. So I remember when I had a procedure that was scheduled, my uncle was there with me, and he drove me in that morning. He was my designated person. They call him a designated. I want to say a comedian, because he would laugh the whole way and tell jokes through all my appointments. He think he's a comedian. So that's another thing too. Sometimes your family will encourage you. So my uncle just told all kind of jokes. So I would laugh the entire way to all my appointments. Regardless of how I felt, he felt that I guess that was his contribution to, well, he thinks he's a comedian anyway, but that was his contribution to make me feel better. So he would tell all kind of jokes. So I remember he asked, he said, well, how long are you going to be here? I said, look, dude, I don't know. He was like, what you mean you don't know? What are you going to do? I said, well, they're going to do ABC. But the doctor says if this happened, did that happen? I don't know. I said, but you have to be here so you can sign or whatever happened. I was like, just keep it open, whatever, keep your box open. He was like, what? I was like, dude, I don't know what's going to happen. So he's like, okay, we don't know what's going to happen. So I was like, bring everything. So he brought his computer, his laptop, okay, his pad, cell phones. He had chargers. My uncle even had food. He had all snacks. He packed them a lunch. So he had a blanket. He was prepared. He's like prepared for whatever. He's like, we going into this. We're gonna battle this, fight this out, whatever. He's like, I'm ready. If I gotta stay over, whatever, I'm ready. I got food, I got everything. So I went up there. It was amazing. It was actually an amazing experience. And again, as I said, make your medical team, make them, be a part of the team. That particular physician, he was so really great. We were a team. We communicated a lot of things together. He told me certain stuff to do. So when I went in for that procedure, I went in and he really didn't have to do what we thought we had to do. I went in, I was in there less than 3 minutes. Got prepared in the operating room. They got me prepared and I was like, no, I'm walking in here. He's like, we're gonna let you walk in here and do what you need to do. And so he was like, oh, the different things. I said, yeah, I did everything that we discussed, everything. We went over the emails. And when he went in, he was like, oh my gosh, your body started responding. And so the funny part was I came down, my uncle was sitting there, he's preparing, for maybe an all-nighter next day, whatever, right? And I even gave him, told him about my daughter, different things. Okay, she's get out of school this time, blah, blah, blah. So we prepared for all that. Maybe he had to spend the night at the house, take care of her, whatever, dad fly in, whatever. So I came down and he was like, okay, well, when they gonna start? You came down, well, I'm in the wrong spot. I was like, no, dude, let's go. He was like, what? I was like, dude, let's go. He's like, huh? I said, I told you I didn't know what was what's going to happen. And so it doesn't mean that because you don't know what's going to happen, that it's going to be negative. Mine happened to be positive. Matter of fact, I didn't have to have that surgery. So that was positive. And that's why I said, it's okay. Let them know because you don't know. Sometimes you don't know. Just do what you can and keep a positive mind. Believe that you have the right to be healed. Believe that you have the right to be healed. And also when you do the research, sometimes you may find out why this happened. Because I truly do not know why I ended up with liver disease. I think some of the symptoms, some of the different things, but I can't really pinpoint it. But what I did is I did change my diet. I changed my diet so it helped improvement. I never know why I ended up with liver disease at the point that I had. And but the only thing I know now, my liver has responded. I'm better. I'm walking, doing a lot of different things. Now, 2023, was I'm in this place now? No, was not in the place. Am I different? Yes, I'm different. But I take the wins. I take the wins. We take the wins and we celebrate the wins. Because that was my season. Whatever it was for me to learn through that season, I think I learned a lot. I learned to appreciate life. I learned that you don't control everything. I learned that I have the right to be healed. I learned that you have the right to be healed. I know you have the right to be healed. And I learned that sometimes things happen and we're going to get through it. Sometimes it may not be the best. And another thing, I met some really great medical professionals throughout. Some great nurses, that bubbly people, great people that was part of my life, was able to share different things with. They was able to share the journey. Hey, they experienced my highs. I had so many doctors, man. So I was able, they saw me coming into how I came into, couldn't walk in a chair, and they saw me leave out able to walk. How when I say, I tell my daughters a lot of times, I don't want to see y'all. I'm trying to get rid of y'all. And when I say that, I'm talking about cut back, cut down, where I can thrive. Maybe, I'm not saying don't go do a physical, but get to the point where, okay, I'm just going for my 6-month physical. Okay, we good. Okay, everything kosher, everything operating like it's supposed to. And that was in my mind. And so share your thoughts. I'm going to say during this period as well, share your feelings. Share how you feel. Write down how you feel. It's okay. It is okay. If you have days when you do not feel like being bothered, Just say, I do not feel like being bothered today. And whatever it is you have to do it. Because you have that right, but you can thrive. This season of illness will not last forever. But it's how we go through it. It's our mindset, what we believe, and we believe that we are healed. And we believe that we will get through it. So, we thriving. As I said before, share with your family. Embrace. I mean, I understand why you have this illness. And we're like, okay, I'm going to find out what's necessary for me to get back or close to 100% as possible. Do the research if you can. Ask questions. Maybe change your diet. If you can get active, get up. Maybe if you get up in the bed, sit up in the bed. One day you might just only be able to sit up. Next week, you might be get up, go to the restroom. Do whatever it is that you can do and count your wins and celebrate your wins. Because we're trying to live the best life possible. And as long as we have breath in our body, we're above and not beneath, or we winning. All right. Thank you. Thank you for coming and sitting down. Talk to you next time. Talking with LaToya. Thank you. Bye.